This is my Garmin Instinct 2, and this is by far my favorite activity, health tracking, exercise watch that I've ever owned. And I say that as someone that owned an iWatch and wore it for many years. Now, there's several things I like about it, but a couple things I don't. The first and most obvious is the band. I think the bands on the Garmin's are very underrated. They're very flexible and very comfortable. They don't get in the way, and when you're wearing the watch, you hardly notice that it's even on. The second thing is just the look of it. It kind of has a little bit of a thicker, heavier look. If you're looking for something that's a little bit smaller and lighter weight, maybe try the Garmin Forerunner 55. But the Instinct 2 has a little bit more of a beefy look. Now it comes in a 40 and 45 millimeter case. This is the 45 millimeter case, and I'm a bigger guy, so I like a little bit of a bigger watch face. Now the actual watch face, they have several different versions. They have an original, a tactical. This is the Surf edition, and they have another one called, I believe it's Diesel, which is for long distance truck drivers. Now I haven't messed around too much as far as veering off from its original settings. As you can see here, it has the tide meter, tells me when it's low tide and high tide, the date, and all the basic information. Now it also comes in just a standard version, but a solar version. And Garmin alleges that with the solar version, depending on the amount of sunlight you get throughout the day, you should never ever have to really go charge it again. Now this is the original version. And this is one thing I really don't like about this watch, is they advertise that you can get 28 days of battery life out of this. In my experience, that has not been the case at all. I haven't even gotten close to that. Most I've gotten is about 19 or 20 days of battery life out of it. I don't know how they calculated that 28, but I haven't gotten that. For me, it's not a big deal because I'm always within reach of a charger. I can take it off and charge it up for a couple days. But as far as the battery life on the original compared to something like an iWatch or other smartwatches, it blows them all out of the water. So for me, even though it doesn't meet the 28 days, that's okay. Now, like I said, this comes in a 40 and 45 millimeter case. This is it can go about 100 meters underwater with no issues. And the main reason I got this is for greater detail and tracking my health, my heart rate, my sleep, and things like that. Now, one thing I was worried about when I first got this is how accurate it actually would be. And it turns out that it's actually fairly accurate. So I'll show you some of the analytics here. One thing that I was concerned about was the heart rate. Generally, wristwatch heart rate monitors aren't that accurate, but this one is always within 2 to 3 beats of what my actual heart rate is. Now you can download the Garmin app, and I'll show you, and since I don't have the watch on, you can see it's thinking about it. It's not fully connected, but the main dashboard will automatically tell you what your heart rate is. It has this feature called a body battery, which tells you essentially how tired you are. Obviously that's up to you, but it's a pretty fairly accurate representation of it, I've found. A stress, how much stress you're under, the intensity minutes. They want you to give a goal of 150 intensity minutes a week. In other words, hard exercise. Now, this is something else that I thought was cool, is the steps. Now they give you a goal of steps throughout the day, and if you continually beat it, they will continually up the goal. So I think that's pretty good. It gives you your calories, both resting and active. And this is my favorite feature on this, is it gives you an idea of how much deep sleep, light sleep, REM sleep, and how much time you were awake. As you can see here, it says that last night I was asleep for 8 hours and 27 minutes, but my sleep score was poor. It was 59 out of 100 because I was awake for far too long. And that actually sounds fairly accurate. If you keep scrolling down, it will give you all of those analytics we already saw from today and current. It'll give you yesterday's analytics so you can compare how you did versus yesterday. But then it'll also give you a running average of the last 7 days. And if you tap into any of these specific ones, for example, let's see, the sleep. Well, it's not going to do it because I'm not wearing it currently, but it'll give you a 7-day running total. It'll also give you a 4-week running total. So you can kind of see how you're doing over time. Another thing you should be aware of with this watch is if you're used to wearing activity tracking watches that are touch face, this is not a touch face or touch screen at all. There's also no color on this. I'm okay with that, but you should be aware of that because if you're coming over from something like an iWatch, this is going to be a little bit different. It's not necessarily as intuitive. Now, it's not bad, it's easy to still figure out, but you should be aware as somebody, if you regularly use Apple products, that this might not be as easy and there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve. So pretty basic. This up here, if you press and hold it, will turn on your GPS, but it also acts kind of like your select button. I'll show you what I mean here in a second. On the bottom right, if you press and hold, you can go into different alarms. As you can see, I have a running alarm every day for 6:10 a.m. Basic timers, let's say we were to set a timer, you press up here, a 3-minute timer, and then that's how you begin it. To go back, just push the set button again, and it will just take you back to where you were. So there's a whole bunch of different stuff you can do. You can also press and hold on the menu button, and you can, and you can go through some different activities and workouts and things you might want to try. So for example, this is the surf edition. So there's the surf, tides, windsurf, all of this, but then it'll also go run, bike, pool, swim, open swim, strength, ski, and it gives a whole bunch of different options. Pretty much any type of workout you can think of, or any type of workout that the average person would do, this is on here. So all in all, this, like I said, is by far my favorite activity, running tracker watch. The analytics are very accurate, it's very durable, and the battery life is phenomenal. So if you're looking to start keeping track of your health, your wellness, your sleep, things like that, check out the Garmin Instinct 2.